modern employee experience. She is all about this. She used to be a former recruiting practitioner and an expert in bringing HCM solutions to market. You've probably seen her on or heard of her on the Now of Work podcast, and she runs the Now of Work global community along with Jason Averbook. And so we're glad to have you with us. Jess, take it away.
Hi, Ted. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this event. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and make sure I've got my material ready here. But I'm so excited about this event, and I'm so excited to be asked to speak about something I'm super passionate about, and that is work. Believe it or not, I'm super passionate about work and how we do it, and designing work for people, not molding people to their work. And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to go ahead and put this into presentation mode and silence my Slack. Boy, if this isn't life happening in the moment, right? All right, we're getting there. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, all right, we're going to go back to sharing my screen. Presentation mode. So as Ted mentioned, I run marketing for Leapgen, and I run a global community of HR leaders, HR practitioners, anybody who has anything to do with designing work, addressing workforce experience, and digital transformation of HR and of work. And digital transformation is all about digitizing the experience of work. Now there's digital and there's technology. We make the mistake of mistaking the two quite often. And digital transformation is really a mindset. It's a mindset shift when you think about how to meet people where they are when it comes to work. And so, of course, the temptation, when I know I have 9 minutes to use, the temptation might be to talk about the great calling of HR in 2020, which is to modernize and digitally transform the experience of work. Never more important, right, than what we're experiencing in the now of work. But I thought twice, because I really truly believe that digital transformation really has become about the human disruption of work. And I'm going to explain what that means. And so, as you know, I'm Jess. I live here in downtown Minneapolis, my favorite city in the world, and I run marketing for Leapgen. We are experience evangelists. We talk a lot about transforming work, and the future of work became the now of work overnight. So this is a pretty urgent calling and priority, and that's because the game has changed. It literally changed overnight. If you're doing the same thing today that you were doing at this time last year, or if you're doing it in the same way, I would be completely shocked. And I'd actually like to hear how that's possible, because I can't think of anything that hasn't almost completely and radically transformed itself in the last 6 months. We know that people have changed. The workers, let's call them workers, those of us who are in the workforce have changed forever. What matters, why we do it. We have definitely changed. Business has changed. Some businesses have completely changed what they do, or even if you're providing the same products and services that you did before, how you do it, why you do it, the way you serve your customers has certainly had to transform. There's a reason pivot has become sort of the buzzword that we all love of 2020. And work has changed. Where, how, even when we work. Work has completely changed permanently and forever. One of my pet peeves is that we talk about going back to normal, when things return to normal, back to work, policies and programs. Forget that. We're not going back to normal. Everything has changed permanently and forever, and we can make that a good thing if we're intentional about it. And so when I think about transforming work, digital transformation of work, I actually think about the fact that we've humanized work more than ever before. And I think it's because work sort of barreled into our homes and onto our home fronts, literally overnight, sort of by force, because we had to. We went into lockdown. And we had to do things from our home fronts that we might not have been doing before. Or even if you were working virtually before, you had a different set of circumstances, you know, from with which to do it. You probably did it with other adults or children or other, you know, factors at play that you're not used to juggling or managing. So the line between life and work and this whole notion of work-life balance, we sort of erased that line. It was blurred for sure, if not completely erased, and work became part of our lives in a way that it never was before. And so I'd like to challenge us to think that whatever that discomfort was, whatever dissonance you felt, whatever the rub was, wherever you felt friction, that rub, that dissonance probably begged for disruption. It probably needed to be disrupted anyway. And so we've just sort of accelerated the need or the opportunity to do that. And I think that that can be a good thing. Now, there are some things that we need to manage and we can be intentional about to make sure that we turn this into a positive, that we don't fully deplete our capacity for resilience and agility. But I think it's a good thing that we have humanized work in ways that we've never humanized it before. And so when we talk about digital transformation, the goal, the nirvana, you could say, is this idea of a frictionless workforce experience. It's about delivering the right information or the right knowledge, the right communication to the right people in the right channel at the right time. That's a frictionless workforce experience. And the closest example I can give you is how you order an Uber, for example, or how you check a flight status, or how you order groceries online. You don't have to navigate. It's not that hard to navigate systems and technologies or to know where to. You literally can use voice commands or touch screens or this handy mobile device in your hands. It's a pretty frictionless workforce experience because consumer experience, user experience, because it's designed that way. It's designed to be intuitive, to be easy, to be simple, even to be beautiful. And so when it comes to work, for some reason, we haven't done that work. It's not that easy to navigate HR systems and workforce services and HR technologies. It's not actually that easy. The job of being an employee is not actually that easy. And now that we have this rub, now that push has come to shove and we all have to do much more with less or with the same tools, the pressure is on to create an even more frictionless experience, to make it easier for people to do their best work and not make their actual job the work itself. And consider the fact that you have to meet people where they are, and everybody is in a completely different place than they were before. And so I have this, sort of case in point example, and this actually just came to me over the last few days. This idea, this notion of asynchronous versus synchronous experiences. And it came to mind because of my kids. I'm homeschooling, virtual schooling, 3 kids under 11. They started a few weeks ago, 100% virtual. And as I overhear, I can't help because I have to get them all in their little classrooms and Google Meets. And I overhear their classroom interactions and their learning experiences. And it's all very carefully designed and orchestrated between asynchronous and synchronous experiences. Asynchronous, of course, is sort of self-paced, guided. You're provided materials and instruction to work at your own pace. You know what the deliverables are and you're responsible for getting them in, but you're not all live together. You're not all online, facilitated, live, interacting in the same virtual classroom at the same time. Asynchronous versus synchronous. And I'm having these aha moments as I watch them thinking, why haven't we designed work this way? I actually redesigned my own work experience to say, I've got to step away from work at these times on these days because I can't keep those 3 and myself all in video interactions at the same time. And so I have reshifted. I've shifted and I've moved my work around so that I can be synchronous with them and asynchronous with my own team members and my own work when I need to be. And it's that very notion of redesigning work, rethinking, reimagining, redesigning work to meet people where they are instead of asking people to mold themselves to work and to work objectives. It's such a simple concept, but for me, it's really that mindset shift and the permission we have to give ourselves to reimagine and to redesign the experience. And so I like to say, what if, this whole work your way, what if it could actually work? When we all went home to work because we were under stay-at-home orders, we proved that it could be done. We actually proved that people could be productive, that they would be engaged, that they could be efficient and all of those things. And so we addressed the trust issue that I think we used to have around working remotely, working virtually. And now a lot of companies are adopting remote first policies. They have no back to office plans. They're literally redesigning work so that people can work their way, whether it's from home, whether it's without business travel if they used to, with whatever tools, systems, processes they need to be efficient and productive. And we actually are starting to redesign work for people. And I think it's incredibly exciting. Just a couple of things to keep in mind when we do this. When we think about meeting people where they are and letting humans transform work by using human-centered design and people-first design principles when we redesign workforce experience, it's not about monitoring activity. It's not about connecting people to systems and then monitoring activity and performance. It's really about enhancing capabilities and enabling their productivity, making it possible for them to work well, easily, efficiently. And again, it's sort of a mindset shift to think about it in that way. And I caution you, as a working mom, I am one of the demographic that I keep reading about, that this shift in work responsibilities and schedules and the environment that we do it from is putting undue burden on working parents, and specifically working moms. There's so many articles, so many stats out there about the mass exodus of working moms from the workforce because they're feeling sort of a double impact. Perhaps they carried too much weight in other areas of their lives in the first place. And now that this extra burden is being placed on them, they're saying enough is enough. They can't do it. They can't keep, they're prioritizing family and kids' education and their sanity and their health. And they're saying they can't do it, even if they wanted to keep the career plate spinning. So I caution you, this is a statement I feel I need to make. Making work flexible for people, making sure that they have a vote of confidence and the permission they need to sort of flex their hours and move work around, that can easily lead to this double shift, the double shift concept, where I might be homeschooling my kids during the day, but I'm making up all of my workload during the evenings and on the weekends, time that I would otherwise be spending in other areas of my life or caring for myself. So be careful that making work flexible doesn't just move it around and spread people even thinner. Avoid sort of the double shift if you can. Truly restructure work to make it possible for people to complete the most meaningful work when they're able to complete it, even if that requires pulling in other resources to help. And so I love the opportunity that we have in front of us. I truly do. I know that we've been dealing with with crisis after crisis and pandemic after pandemic, the global health pandemic, social justice pandemic, there are financial and job loss impacts. It seems like there can't be much more to add to our plate, and then more comes along. And I get that it's a lot. But I also think we've been handed an incredible opportunity, probably the biggest opportunity any of us will ever see in our careers or even our lives, because there are spans and spans and spans of time in history where not much changes. where not much moves and transformation feels harder. It's more difficult. You're literally pushing a rock up the hill when you try to make significant movement. And then there are times like now where it's almost handed to you on a platter, and we're in this window of time where you can truly move the needle and transform work. And I think it's all about humanizing work. So that's what I've got to share with you today. Again, thank you so much for having me. I get to hand over the mic. I'll stop sharing my screen. I get to hand over the mic to Jason Bruce, who is, I like to say once a recruiter, always a recruiter. And so I feel like he's one of my own, like he's, akin to what I used to do, which is attract great talent to great